This is, I am told, the worst shooting disaster in Canadian history, third worst in North American history.
December 6, 1989, the day before midterm exams at École Polytechnique in Montreal. Just before 5 p.m., Marc Lupin walked into the engineering school with a semi-automatic rifle. Within 20 minutes, he murdered 14 women. That's Nathalie Provost, one of the survivors of the Polytechnique Montreal massacre.
He came in the class, he shot in the wall just behind me. He yelled at the guy that they have to leave the classroom. 9 women all together in the corner of the room. He told us that we were there because we were feminists. And I answered him back that we were not feminists. And if he wants to study at Polytechnique, he can come with us. And then he shot. Tack, 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 tack. Pretty loud, pretty off. It's awful. And you see, I saw the eyes of a colleague died. And then you know that you will die. You're the next one. And it takes a second. And then you're on the floor and it's finished.
9 people were shot in that classroom. 6 died, all women. Over the next 15 minutes, 8 more people were killed. All of them, women. What followed the shooting was utter chaos. Emergency responders didn't really know what to do, as this was one of the first active shooters in Quebec, and one of the first school shootings in North America. There were a number of miscommunications and delays for first responders to actually get on the scene. Police only entered the building when they got word the suspect had taken his own life, nearly 25 minutes after the first 911 call. The coroner's report called the disaster plan poorly defined, and the operation as a whole suffered as a result. The media was also unsure how to handle the situation.
And when he came out and said that there were a dozen students, that the reporters just all got real quiet. You don't very often see reporters get quiet, but nobody said much after that.
The coverage following the massacre often excluded the word feminist, unless to quote the killer. It was portrayed as an individual situation, a lone gunman spun out of control.
We were sent out to try to find out why the murderer would have done this, what must have happened in his childhood or his background that made him commit an act of violence. You know, do what you're told, but at the same time, there was no reflection on would we cover the violence against women angle, because that seemed beside the point. I was watching The National, and the late Barbara Frum was doing a special on this, and you could see on a national scale that she too was trying to not make it about violence against women.
But isn't the crime the brutality against this particular group this time? It could have been another group. Would we be having vigils for every group? If it was 14 men, would we be having vigils? Isn't violence the monstrosity here?
Marc Lupin's motive could not have been more clear. He said it in the classroom as well as in his suicide note. But it would still take decades to call it what it was: Canada's first mass femicide.
Globally, as a society, imagining that one of our boys can kill 14 of our girls